this session was one of the most popular and highest requests we've had in terms of organizing something where we can have people from the community sharing their experiences with getting an internship, and in that sense, we have with us today Sai and Vishwas, who will be sharing their experiences, and at the end I'll also be sharing what my experience was in getting an internship. So firstly, I'd like to thank Sai and Vishwas for agreeing to share their experiences with us. So thank you so much for doing so. We will be having more such sessions in the coming weeks, and this is so that you get an idea of what the whole process is like, what you need to do, what you shouldn't do to apply for an internship, what their experience was like, and towards the end of their their bout of sharing their experiences, you can then ask them questions about their experience, what they did right, and if any other questions as well. And we'll all be anyway connected through the Discord server, so in case you do have questions after that, then feel free to put the question up there and we'll be able to answer them.
So hi guys, so I'll be just a brief about myself. I'm an incoming PhD student at the University of California, Santa Cruz. I graduated in 2020 from Tier 1.5 Tier 2 college. That's how, if you want to see it, been pretty nice, and they've led me to good admits in Cornell, Georgia Tech, and a bunch of places. So I'll be talking mostly about my internship in Georgia Tech, and then maybe some inputs about the one at the Indian Institute of Science. During these internships, I've had papers at some decent conferences, ACM Multimedia and IEEE GlobeCom. So that's that. So we'll primarily focus on how and what did I do at Georgia Tech, and how did I secure some funding for that, and pretty much the same applies for my other internships also at in Institute of Science and at Inventor. So we'll go stepwise, and what I feel helped me out, and maybe if that can help you out, I'll be really glad. So don't like, say if you're interning in May, don't go in February or April. I want to do an internship right now. That's not going to work. You got to prepare early. Say that you need to reach out to professors abroad. I would recommend somewhere within mid-November and December, because that's the academic hiring session for fall, like mid-November, December. That's where our admits go through, and that's where they plan ahead for what to do in the next fall and summer. So that's the ideal time. It might vary from professor to professor, but this worked out for me. And I think reaching out in mid-November gives them some time to assess you, and maybe even train you before you come to the internship, because they're not going to come and just learn this, learn that. They're not doing some charity. They want you to contribute. So prepare ahead, learn early, reach out to them early, and if they have some training for you, you can go ahead and do that with them. So one of the most important questions I've got from my juniors pretty much all along my undergraduate is, how do you even find these guys? Like, how do you know these guys are even, what are they doing? So what's the process? So here is one website which has really helped me. It's called csrankings.org, and those who apply to grad school I guess would know this. But you have all these universities listed according to the rank. So you can choose your institute if you see the right side of my screen, you can choose your institute, choose the country you want, and then which areas you are interested in. So like if you put robotics, you'll see CMU come up, and Maryland come up, and all big universities come up. So you can really pick what you want. Like if you put human computer interaction, you'll see Georgia Tech, and coming up. If you see graphics, you'll see UC Santa Cruz coming up. So these are the ways you can filter universities who contribute in these areas. So you can reach out to their lab. You can open their personal webpage and see what they're doing, what are they working on right now, and then that gives you a sense of assessment, saying that, okay, am I on those lines? Or is it even worth a shot or not worth a shot? Say somebody's working on SLAM and robotics, and you're working on, say, gaming. It doesn't really make sense if you apply. It's obviously a reject, right? So make sure you make a really strong case when you apply for an internship. We'll talk about making a case in the subsequent slides, but yeah, so this is one way you can, step one, like, how do I identify a professor? How do I know what he's working on? I think this is one way it helped me, and this might help you too. So yeah, you can have a look at this in your free time. So the next step would be writing an email to them, right? Or reading their paper. So I'm assuming that once you find the professor here, you're going to read their work, and now you want to approach them, right? So there are two. So I've seen this mistakes when some people And maybe I wanted to stress on that so that you don't commit those mistakes, or it just helps you to know what not to do. So the wrong way, what's the wrong way of approaching a professor? Say, look at this one paragraph. It says, I'm ABC, studying, I'm a third year student, I have a perfect CGPA of 10, and I hold some scholarship, I've done the Andrew NG course, and you're requesting him if you can intern in the lab during a summer of 2020. And so this kind of mail is straight spam mail. If you have done Andrew NG course or some other course on Coursera, 7 lakh people else have also done it. This is not your factor to differentiate from the rest of the group, right? And again, you're not asking him like, can you give me an internship? It's not a charity. You need to contribute, right? You're not looking for an opportunity. Don't put cliche statements like research under your wing, and these are all done. These are 2000 stuff. It's 2020, so you need to really have some technical meat in your email. So one way I feel is the correct way to do it is basically, even if you have really nothing and you really want to make a case, this is something what I would do, so that you've come across this guy's work, and then you find his. So you want to stress that apart from your coursework, you've taken extra class on Andrew NG, and using that course, you might have built some project. So you learn XYZ from some course and you build ABC. So you want to show that you're actually contributing to stuff. And you might want to pick really specific projects in your lab, like QRST, UEW. These are the projects which you feel you will be able to contribute. So I feel the most important part of your email should be, what can you do? How can you help the lab? How can you help the professor? Rather than talking about what the professor can give you, if you can talk about what you can give the professor, I think that will really change the dynamics of how this email and how whatever things go forward. So similarly, when I was an inventor in my second year, I was working on LiDAR and ROS. That's the first time, and it was in my second year inventor, we started using ROS and stuff for the robots. And since I had experience in LiDAR and ROS, I wrote to my professor in Georgia Tech saying that he was working on a traffic sign based project where you had to use LiDAR to determine the quality of traffic signs and even detect these traffic signs. So if you see here, he had a really nice car with all these LiDARs, and then we're trying to move the car around and detect traffic signs purely through LiDAR, and then assess the quality. That my experience with LiDAR is going to help you in these ways. My experience with ROS is going to help you in these ways. And that really made a point that really struck a chord to him, and he said that, yeah, this really makes sense. And then he sent some material for me to prepare and assess. So I think these are 3 really important points you might want to keep in mind when you're writing. Some tips and tricks which I would suggest are helpful is about showing consistent attitude for research and internships. Be really proactive, not at that point of time in college where everybody's looking for an internship that you really become active and say, okay, I need an internship, and you start stressing over it. But be really consistent when you're searching for opportunities. Follow people on LinkedIn, follow what they're doing, how did they reach there. So I would say it's rather like a 6-month process, or an even, to exaggerate it, even 7-month process. You need to being proactive, seeing what professors are doing. Your first email is going to be trash. You need to keep reaching out to them. Don't spam them, but if you're reading their work, you have some doubts or you have some improvements, create a relation with the professor, not professor but any institute or firm. Don't just spam them with emails. Create the relationship between them, create a tempo saying that your research work is this is what I'm doing, can we do that, can you do this? And maybe at one point of time when the professor starts trusting you, you can put the point saying that you're looking for an internship. It's not a one mail process, right? I think I've written, me and my professor Dr. Sai in Georgia, I get back and forth around 100 emails, right? Because he gave me some work, he gave me some tests and all that. So it's a process. You do that, and be really empathetic towards your research problem. Treat it like your baby, you really care for it, and sleep over it. People say don't stress over it, but it's really competitive. You need to stress out a bit and be on your toes here. Be really passionate about it. When I was working on LiDAR ROS, I was like clueless. What am I doing? I didn't great importance. And that attitude for me, or my interest to do that internship, plus this empathy and compassion towards that problem, I think ticks a lot of boxes. And once you start treating the problem as your own problem, you come up with much better solutions. That's one thing. Yeah. And then next is consistent reading. Pick up papers from ICRA, IROS, or any of them. What are they even doing? What's the state of the art at this point? If you're in computer vision, look at CVPR and ECCV or some conferences, ACM Multimedia, as a matter of fact, and see what are they doing right now? What do I know, and how can I improve myself? You have to keep lifting your bar. So if you consistently read, you'll reach a position where you'll be able to read these papers at a very quick pace, and at least understand what's happening in these papers. And then you, with your learning and with your skill set improving gradually, you'll also be able to contribute and make some impact. And with these kind of papers and reading of these papers, you can always write very good content in your email, or the way you present your stuff or the projects, everything, that you'll see your bar rising pretty drastically. So that's one thing. There's another thing I would suggest you guys work on. Finally, I think, yeah, take process and feedback. Attend sessions like this, talk to people, talk to professors. That's what I meant when I said talk to professors. Like, give your suggestions on a paper to him. He'll come back. Make this feedback loop consistent. Talk with multiple people and understand where you are going wrong. And trust the process of reading and performing. It'll come there. I understand it's not easy. Whoever has gone through this internship process, you might see so many rejection mails from professors, but yeah, you have to stick to the process and consistently believe that your process will yield you the reward. I wanted to stress on, it might not necessarily be for your internship, but it might help you in general applying, you're performing in your internship or building projects. It's about formulation of things. I think the way our education has been, we've been spoon-fed a lot of things. We're given problems to solve, but we don't really formulate these problems. To give you a small example on how to formulate things, and I really hope this helps you, formulate problems and formulate case studies on what you want to work. This is from our paper at ACM Multimedia, or because everybody, I hope, knows cricket. So cricket match, we see it as a cricket match, but if you really had to mathematically formulate this problem, and the objective here was identifying a cricket ball, like individual ball number 1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. You want to generate clips. So you use this in robotics too. Like, you want to identify certain, if you have a surveillance robot and you want to identify certain instances in the video feed, you can use such kind of things. Not exactly, but I hope you get the context in computer vision here. So basically, there's a bowler who's bowling to a batsman, and some like a 4, 6, single, double, or triple, whatever it is. And no event is like a dot ball, and the ball goes back to the bowler. Right? So this is the cycle. So simple, whatever we understand, we can just put it as, if you've done theory of computing in your undergraduate, I don't know what you call these things, but it looks something like that, right? State diagrams or something like that. So basically, a whole cricket match, we formulate it as balls, like B1, B2, B3, and N varies based on the number of the format you're playing. And each of this telecast is the telecast is it's a video, so it's it's an amalgamation of frames. So that's F1 to FM. So each ball is just it's from F1 to F3, or I hope you're getting it what I'm trying to say. So B1 consists of 2 frames, and ball 2 consists of 3 frames. So this is the opening frame and this is the closing frame. So if I'm able to formulate something like this, and if my question is how do I identify the balls, it's pretty much simple as identifying F5 to F7. So now I can start exploring methods to identify these things. So one way we did it is using segmentation, like as the ball approaches the pitch, the number of brown pixels in this image it's optimized and it's pretty fast and reliable. So you want to, so once you identified this problem here, what you're trying to do is mathematically you can see as the bowler approaches the pitch, the number of brown pixels shoot, and then this pretty much sums up what I want, right? Like, this is F5 and this is F7, right? So just because I was able to formulate this problem in such a manner, you can even think of exploring solutions. And after that, you can go on to get extra data through OCR and stuff like that. So we presented these results in ACM Multimedia. So the point I wanted to put is learn to formulate problems. It's going to help you in your internships, because even if you read papers, you're not understanding what's happening. That's 95% because you're not understanding what they want to do in the first place, right? So to formulate problems, that's going to help you even write emails to professors saying that this is the problem you're trying to solve. So how do you know what is the problem they're trying to solve? So you need to understand the paper, the formulation part of that. So I hope that helps. It might not be directly related to internships, but in general, some softer aspects, I think having a good CGPA helps. That said, it's not like you need to have a stellar CGPA, but have a decent CGPA, because why I believe in decent CGPA is I don't want to define what is decent. CGPA is not a reflection of how hard you work or how good at you are or how good at things you are, but it's just a reflection of how consistent you are towards the system. Because in an internship, you might not always get things you like, what is the reason why people have lower CGPA? Interest nahi hai, right? That's the common reason. Or you don't want to attend classes. It's because you don't find them interesting. In the same way, in the internship, you might not always get work you really like, right? And then despite of that, can you give your 100% to that work? That's what they're trying to assess in your CGPA, right? If I have a decent CGPA of 8, 9, he's like, okay, despite of the fact that he doesn't like work, he might want to give his 80% or 90% or 100%. So that's what the CGPA is. It's not the critical factor, but it's just a softer aspect. But when it comes to cutthroat competition, like if you look at institutes like UIUC and stuff like ETH, as a matter of fact, they have really good standards for CGPA. So yeah, that's one aspect. I think it's pretty critical. Finally, I know a lot of people pick up a lot of projects. It's good that you pick up a lot of projects, but make sure your projects are quantifiable in nature, right? You need to be able to show something. Like I build, say, the most simplest project some people build is, say, sentiment classification in NLP or object detection in computer vision, right? So what is the accuracy? You need to talk numbers. Okay, did you increase your efficiency compared to some state of the art or some other paper? Or, did you show some kind of better results? So please make sure when you put things in your resume or on your websites or your portfolios, and when you're creating, like what contribution did you really do? What is your role in the team? These are the things they really look for, because if they're taking you, you're not going to be a sole contributor. You're going to work with a PhD candidate out there. So how can you contribute there? So these are the things they'll be looking at. So that's that. Finally, yeah, I think it's important to have. I prefer a website because sticking attachments and all might be not the best way these days. But having a website, you can just share the link with them. So these are the softer aspects of things. Another 2 minutes, I think I'm done. Yeah, that's all from my end, guys. Yeah, these are my handles. If you ever want to reach out, I'll be happy to help.
Okay, Sai, I think you have a question from Sanket. How did you start exploring universities?
Yeah, I think the way I started exploring universities, I'll give a lot of credit to my internship at Inventor, because I met some people who come abroad and they suggested that this is even possible. So I looked at programs like MyTax and DARD and Chakra, I think it's Charka or Chakra for the France thing. And then I realized that I might not be making a case there. So I went to csrankings.org, and then again, I looked at people, what are they doing? And that's how I started exploring universities. Like I knew at that point, since I came from Inventor, that I wanted to work on robotics or, technology and LiDAR and stuff like that, computer vision. So I went to csrankings.org, I clicked computer vision, and I've seen some universities, and then I went to each professor and see where do I have a chance to make it, right? So I think I see a few more questions, like how did you decide which specialization to pursue within robotics? Yeah, so okay, I'll be honest, at this point, I work in mostly human-computer interaction and human-robotic interaction. But I have been decently doing well at my previous workplace with Ross, and I worked on navigation stacks and stuff like that. When it comes to why did I choose HCI and HRI, I really like the fact where you can create some kind of, I've been a person who's always wanted to see tangible stuff. So I like it when people interact with robots, and that's something I wanted to study. And that has eventually led me to picking up human-computer interaction or gestures in robotics and stuff like that. Yeah, it's currently I do not work explicitly on the navigation and stuff like that, but this is how I chose to work with human-computer interaction and human-robotic interaction. Okay, what if I have multiple interests in the robotics fields like ground robots, aerial, and humanoid? At which stage in your second year did you work at Inventor? Okay, I'll go from the back. So I worked at during my summer, the May-June period. I worked with Inventor. That's an easy answer. What if I have multiple interests in robotics like ground robots? I think it's a ship you want to sail. It's good to have multiple interests. I don't see anything wrong or bad, good or bad in that. It's nice to have, and you can explore. I think at one point you'll realize what you really want to work on, or it's ideal that if you want to work on all the three, there's no problem in that, right? Pretty much I'm expecting the fundamental concepts will remain the same, but the applications and the implementations might change. And of course, there's a whole mechanical side to it. But yeah, there's nothing wrong in having multiple interests, I feel. What will you suggest dropping a year so to improve knowledge and aim for an Ivy League college and directly go? Yeah, I think that's a very good point you asked, because I got I got an admit from the Maryland College Park in 2020. I mean, it's a good college, but I felt I could do better because with the internships in Georgia Tech and IASC. So luckily COVID turned out and I worked at Invento, and this year I got admits from Cornell, Georgia Tech and whatnot. So I was really happy with that. It really helps. See, if you're taking a drop year, I think you really need to make a case for yourself so that you're working on projects which you can show out to the people. Like, I worked on robotics and healthcare based projects, and that's why I made a very strong case in Cornell when I was applying to MSCS with a healthcare specialization, because I worked with robotics in healthcare. Same with Georgia Tech, I worked with robotics for this one whole year. I made a very strong case. But if you're working on some cloud technologies and stuff like that, which is good, which is really good, but if you say that I'm going to work on robotics, then that gap year is not really justified. So if you're taking a gap year, please make sure you justify every day so that it makes some impact on your final thing, right? How to start conversations with professors? Yeah, again, as I said, a very good way to start is by reading the research papers and what are they up to right now. And if you read the research papers, you might even not even find something you want to pick on, but you can say what you appreciate in that paper. That's a very good way to start a conversation. Which will be a good university start a good internship? That's a very broad aspect. I mean, almost many universities are good universities. I think that's not the question you should be searching for. The question you should be searching for is which will be a good professor, or what projects do you want to start with, and then check which university has professors working on those lines. So that should be, that could be the ideal way. Last question. No, wait, that's the last one, right? Yeah, okay. Should you have a research problem statement ready when approaching a professor? I think for internships, it's nice if you do. It's not like a hard rule. It's not a hard rule, definitely. But when I was writing to Georgia Tech, I did not have a research problem, but I gave suggestions on what they could do on the current problem. And then I think that really struck a chord with him, saying that he knew that I can contribute in that way. Yeah, but that's a good question. Like, it's not necessary, but maybe if you're doing for a PhD, it's nice to have some thoughts on what you want to do. But for an internship, it's fine.